Waleed Sharks vs Dean the Great, Gibb vs Austin McBroom, Jake Paul vs Anderson Silva. These are some of the best fights in influencer boxing history. Dean and Gibb delivered brutal, entertaining knockouts, and Jake Paul putting his skills to the test against one of the most prolific strikers of all time was outstanding. However, there's one YouTube boxing match that rises above the rest. This fight alone elevated the influencer boxing scene and altered the landscape forever. I'm talking about the rematch between KSI and Logan Paul at the Staples Center. The first Logan KSI fight was huge, but this rematch had everything. The headguards disappeared, they were fighting with smaller gloves. There was real danger now in this fully professional fight. KSI vs Logan Paul 2 changed everything, and in every YouTube boxing card since, they used pro rules. Jake Paul has put on some blockbuster shows, and KSI has built up misfits with DAZN, but nothing has really lived up to KSI vs Logan Paul 2. The drama was heightened, the stakes were raised, and the decision was rife with controversy. This fight was promoted by Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing, and the mainstream boxing media caught on. You've gotta respect Eddie for having the balls to promote something like this, but it ended up working out, with crossover boxing being one of the biggest entities in the sport. In a roundabout way, the KSI-Logan Paul rematch was the catalyst for Amanda Serrano and other boxing prospects getting bigger paydays, which is mind-blowing to think about. KSI and Logan, what they did at the Staples Center, blew the doors off what was possible with YouTubers and the mainstream media. Every major boxing outlet was covering the event, and it did huge numbers for the DAZN platform. DAZN was wise to distribute the fight. Influencer boxing in general works so well on there because DAZN is an online streaming platform, and it's easier for the younger demographic that YouTubers bring to buy into a subscription service than non-stop boxing pay-per-views. As for the fight itself, there's still a debate to this very day about who should have won the rematch. I think the 2 points debacle in particular is one of the major aspects that still makes this fight interesting to talk about, but we'll get to it soon. KSI vs Logan Paul 2 is a classic matchup in styles. You have the wild brawler in KSI, and the more technical boxer in Logan Paul. Logan looked more measured and calculating than KSI, but the latter just wanted to win more, and fought like a wounded animal. In the first KSI-Logan fight, Logan started strong but gassed out, and then KSI poured it on late, but the rematch was a completely different story. KSI was jabbing to the body in the opening rounds and trying to start early. He took his time too much in the first fight, so he didn't want a repeat of that in the rematch. Ever since, KSI has made it a point to start strong and punish the body of his opponents early. He then uses the jab to the body to set up the overhand right, in which Logan initiates a clinch. This was KSI's strategy in 2019, and it's pretty much his aim in 2023 as well. His overhand right is the most effective weapon in his game, but he's also added a solid left hook and an uppercut since his fight against Logan. KSI and his shot selection becoming more and more varied is so important, and it was cool to see him use different kinds of punches in the temper fights. As you can see in the Logan rematch, KSI sometimes throws a looping overhand without any jab behind it, and Logan capitalizes on him missing by clinching and throwing heavy hands to the body. Still though, KSI won the first round by controlling the ring, dictating the pace of the fight, and landing the more powerful shots. Round 2 features more KSI windmill swings without any shots preceding it, and Logan Paul still not using his right hand. This round is more of the same to be honest, but take your mind back to 2019, when YouTubers were still using headgear until this point. At the time, I had no idea how KSI or Logan would deal with the smaller gloves and lack of head protection. I thought someone was going to go to sleep in these early rounds, so there was a lot of tension going in. Every wild punch from KSI could have connected and taken Logan out. Every time KSI missed Logan and had no defense, Logan could have countered and ruined KSI's night. At that point, we just didn't know how two YouTubers were going to react without headgear, and that's why it was such a thrilling contest. Now, YouTube boxing has evolved so much, with KSI fighting often on misfits, Logan Paul fighting Floyd Mayweather, and Jake Paul sleeping MMA fighters. The scene has evolved so much to the point where this second KSI-Logan fight may look ridiculous now, but at the time, we had so many questions coming into the rematch and it was super compelling to watch. In round 3, KSI scored a knockdown. Oh wait, it wasn't officially counted. People have debated if it was a proper knockdown or not, but I'm going to end that debate today. KSI hit Logan, he went down. Simple as that. I feel like KSI's knockdown should have counted, and if it did, this round would be a 10-8 for KSI. Round 3, 4 and 6 were probably the most action-packed rounds, but rounds 1 and 5 were the most tense. We had no idea what was about to go down when the first bell went, and round 5 was the most nerve-wracking due to Logan Paul's knockdown of KSI in round 4. Ah yes, we finally get to talk about the 2-point deduction. Logan Paul knocks KSI down clean, but then he punches KSI twice in the back of the head as he's coming down. I think for a 6-round fight, the 2-point deduction was a little excessive, but I understand the reasoning on why it was done. First of all, the referee, Jack Reese, wanted to level the playing field. He scored the knockdown for Logan, so KSI would have 8 points, but then he took away 2 points for Logan, making it an 8-8 round. The punishment was severe because the fight could have been finished with KSI winning via disqualification if Jack Reese wanted to wave it off. So he thought it was right to take away 2 points from Logan. It's a disqualification level offense, but the fight carried on, so points getting removed makes sense. If you want to argue 1 or 2 points, it doesn't really matter at this stage. Round 5 was insane because you had no idea if KSI could survive Logan's onslaught after the knockdown. Everyone from the UK was holding their breath, and the Americans were like, finish him. The final round was action-packed, and both KSI and Logan put everything into round 6. It was a spectacle, and even though YouTube boxing has taken over traditional boxing at this point, I don't think anything else has topped the KSI-Logan Paul rematch. The only fight that will ever reach the heights of this one is KSI vs Jake Paul in December. That fight will go beyond anything else that has been done in YouTube boxing. KSI vs Logan Paul walked. So KSI vs Jake Paul, and let's face it, the entire YouTube boxing scene thereafter, could run.